Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Outlaws, Gunslingers, which hosts Bang and Dang. We're back once again with serial killers. Last of the month, my bad. Last of the month, serial killer time. First ever episode profiling a serial killer. Well, it's not really because, first of all, we covered this guy literally about 4 years ago on our old podcast feed before Outlaws and Gunslingers was its own podcast feed. And we also recorded this episode about a week ago using said information from our 4 years ago podcast and realized that the whole official story has changed on this guy since then. So, now we're redoing them with the new updated information. I guess it's not I guess it is updated because this information clearly wasn't in what we had.
It's been the same story for over 100 years, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere.
Right.
Wow.
With that, obviously, you clicked on the title. You see we're covering H.H. Holmes, America's not first serial killer. I guess you can call him the first high-profile serial killer that swept the nation. And what we find out is all of his tales of his slaughterhouse and his, I guess you call it crazy house of horrors, was all inventions of journalists, much like in the Wild West days. So I guess it's the same time period of manufacturing shit to make it look more salacious and appealing to people. So now we tell you the real story of Triple H. Time to play the game, baby. Herman Webster Mudgett, real name, active between 1891 and 94. Lengthy criminal career, insurance fraud, forgery, swindling, 3 to 4 bigamous marriages, which means married to chicks at the same time.
Yeah.
Horse theft and murder, which his most notorious ones took place in Chicago, but those are the ones that were confirmed and he was hung for. Right. Well, there's a lot more that he's presumed and maybe suspected of killing. So we'll get to that. But before we do, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. Post clip shorts, full episodes, and our YouTube exclusive Dart League. Also, go check out our Facebook group. If you guys want to talk about the episode, talk about true crime in general, or talk shit about us, tell us what we need to do, or tell us that we're awesome, whatever one. Facebook, Shirts, Outlaws, and Gunslingers podcast. You can join the group. And Spotify, Apple, give us a review, answer that Spotify question. All right, whole new story right here. Herman Webster Mudgett, born May 16th, 1861 in Gilmanton, New Hampshire, was the third child of Levi Horton Mudgett and Theodate Page Price, both of whom were descended from the first English settlers in the area. As an adolescent, Holmes attended Phillips Exeter Academy before graduating high school with honors from Gilmanton Academy when he was 16. Look at that, 16 years old, huh?
Well, Holmes' parents, both devout Methodists. Father from a farming family. At times he worked as a farmer,
I would assume.
a trader, and a house painter.
Hey, look at him. He's a DIYer. DIYer.
He's a jack.
Right. Master. None, though.
Right. He was also reportedly a heavy drinker, worst they all were back then, who cruelly mistreated his family.
I mean, this is the time right before the women's suffrage, or right before the women were tired of getting beat by their husbands for alcohol, so It's right around the corner.
Holmes also faced bullying by classmates due to his outstanding academic capabilities.
Oh. You fucking nerd.
Right. One incident, he was forced to stand in front of a human skeleton and put the skeleton's hands on his face in an effort to frighten him. Initially terrified, Holmes later discovered the experience to be intriguing and claimed that it helped him overcome his worries. Holmes subsequently developed an obsession with death as a result of the encounter, and he later took up the pastime of dissecting animals.
Yeah, America's pastime, just dissecting animals. July 4th, 1878, America's birthday. Oh. Holmes married Clara Lovering in Alton, New Hampshire. They had one son eventually named Robert Lovering Mudgett, who was born February 3rd, ended up dying November 3rd, 1956. He was born in 1880. He was born in Loudon.
Wow.
Robert went on to become a certified public accountant and served as city manager of Orlando, Florida. Look at that. He's like, I don't even know my daddy.
Right.
1879 is back to the elder Holmes. He enrolled at the University of Vermont for 1 year, and in 1882, he Transferred to the University of Michigan's Department of Medicine and Surgery.
Yeah.
Oh, Wolverine.
Despite his mediocre academic performance. Holmes,
Okay. I just said earlier that he was pretty much a nerd, and now he's got a mediocre academic performance in college.
Right, especially with something that he really wants to do. Medicine and surgery.
Dissect people.
Right. Holmes successfully graduated in June of 1884. While en route, he worked in an anatomy lab under Professor William James Herdman. Then he was the chief of anatomy instructor. That's what Herdman was. And they became best of buds, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Yep. Them two together had been said to engage in facilitating grave robbing, supply medical cadavers.
Yeah, why not?
Like it. Holmes had apprenticed in New Hampshire under Nahum White, a noted advocate of human dissection.
Okay.
Years later, when Holmes was suspected of moida and claimed to be nothing but an insurance fraudster, he admitted to using cadavers to defraud life insurance companies several times in college.
Which he did.
He's like, you should have seen the shit we got away with back then.
Well, housemates from college later recalled that Holmes was physically violent. Or housemates? Would have been from college, yeah, because he married her while he was in college.
Right.
Housemates from college later recalled that Holmes was physically violent with Clara. And in 1884, before his graduation, she moved back to New Hampshire and had little contact with him after that.
Oh, shit.
And took her son with him. Said, you're never seeing this kid.
Bye.
After he moved to Moores, New York, a rumor spread that Holmes had been seen with a little boy who later disappeared.
Oh, shit.
Holmes claimed the boy went back to his home in Massachusetts just by himself. Just a little boy. Why is he with you in the first place?
Wow.
And no investigation took place, of course, and Holmes quickly left town.
Out.
He later traveled to Philadelphia and was hired as a keeper at Norristown State Hospital, but quit after a few days. He then took a position at a drugstore in Philly, but while he was working there, a boy died after taking medicine that was purchased at the store.
Oh, no.
Holmes denied any involvement in the child's death and immediately left the city.
Oh, shit.
Before moving to Chicago, he changed his name to Henry Howard Holmes to avoid the possibility of being exposed by victims of his previous scams.
Oh, wow.
He said, I am no longer Henry Mudgett.
Mudgett.
I am not a Mudgett.
Oh, wow.
What a Munson. You just pulled a Mudgett.
Right. Well, he went to Chicago in August of 1886. Soon after his arrival, he came across a drugstore at northwest corner of South Wallace Avenue and West 63rd Street, in Inglewood section of Chicago. The drugstore's owner, Elizabeth Holton, gave Holmes a job. He proved to be a hard-working employee, and eventually he said, are you looking to sell? Yeah. I want to buy. Okay.
All right. In late 1886, while still legally married to Clara, Holmes married 24-year-old Myrta Belknap in Minneapolis. Somehow he's just there. Same year he went to Chicago. This dude just getting around. He filed for divorce from Clara a few weeks after marrying Myrta, alleging infidelity on her part.
Right.
The claims could not be proven, and the suit went nowhere. Mm-hmm. Surviving paperwork indicated that Clara probably was never even informed of the suit.
Most likely not.
In any case, the divorce was never finalized. It was formally dismissed June 4th, 1891 on the grounds of want of prosecution.
Oh, shit.
Holmes had one daughter with Myrta, who was named Lucy Theodate Holmes. July 4th, she was born in 1889 and died in 1956 as well as her half-brother.
He gets married on the 4th of July. He has a child on the 4th of July.
And she was also born in the Inglewood neighborhood of Chicago. Lucy later became a public school teacher. Holmes lived with Myrta and Lucy in Wilmette, Illinois, and spent most of his time in Chicago tending to business, though, and we know what else he was doing.
You ain't kidding. Contrary to several accounts, Holmes did not kill Dr. E.S. Holton. Holmes purchased an empty lot across the street where construction began in 1887 for a 2-story mixed-use building. He wanted apartments on the second floor, retail spaces, including a new drugstore on the bottom floor, the first. When Holmes declined to pay the architects or the steel company, Aetna Iron and Steel, they took him to court in 1888. They're like, come on, man, all this work, we need to get paid.
All right, well, meanwhile, 1892, fast forward, he added a third floor, telling investors and suppliers he intended to use it as a hotel during the upcoming World's Columbian Exposition.
Nice.
Contemporary accounts report that Holmes built the hotel to lure tourists visiting the exposition in order to kill them and sell their skeletons to nearby medical schools. Although he did have a history of selling stolen cadavers to medical schools, Holmes had acquired these wares through grave robbing rather than murder.
Right.
Likewise, there is no evidence that Holmes ever murdered exposition goers on the premises.
Oh, shit.
Let's see. The Yellow Press, which means fabricating and making up stuff, labeled the building as Holmes's murder castle, claiming the structure contained secret torture chambers, trapdoors, gas chambers, and a basement crematorium. None of these sensationalized claims were true, though.
Oh.
That's why there's no pictures of the crematorium and shit.
All right. Why aren't there pictures inside the place? Is there?
I don't know.
Wow. Other accounts stated that the hotel was made up of over 100 rooms and laid out like a maze, with doors opening into brick walls, windowless rooms, and dead-end staircases. In reality, though, the third-floor hotel was moderately sized, largely unremarkable, and uncompleted due to Holmes' disputes with builders.
Right.
It did contain some hidden rooms, but they were used for hiding furniture Holmes bought on credit and did not intend to pay for.
It's similar to like hiding your car from the repo man.
Right. Holmes did not kill an alleged castle victim, Miss Kate Durkee, who turned out to be very much alive. Really?
Yeah, because remember in the last one, they said that he like lured her there and nobody ever seen her again.
Right. In his confession, Holmes stated that his usual method of killing was to suffocate his victims using various means, including an overdose of chloroform, overexposure to lighting gas fumes, and trapping them in an airless vault. Jeez.
Okay, like a suitcase?
Something, right?
Chest?
Yeah. Holmes also claimed to have used starvation as well, and to have burnt victims alive in his castle.
And that's what he says.
Right.
Meanwhile, speaking of burning, his hotel was gutted by a fire started by an unknown arsonist shortly after his arrest, but was largely rebuilt and used as a post office till 1938. Besides his infamous murder castle, Holmes also owned a one-story factory, which he claimed was used for glass bending. It is unclear if the factory furnace was ever used for this purpose. It was speculated to have been used to destroy incriminating evidence of Holmes's crimes instead.
Very possible.
All right, let's see. That clears up everything about this murder castle that everybody claims was real. Well, clearly not.
We had to kill him somewhere.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll go to, these are some of his presumed murders that people think he did but never proven.
Oh. Holmes' mistress, 31-year-old Julia Smith, was the wife of Dr. Lawrence Iclius Connor, they call him Ned, who had moved into Holmes' building and began working at his pharmacy's jewelry counter. After Connor found out about Smith's affair with Holmes, he quit his job and he moved away, leaving Smith and her 5-year-old daughter, Pearl Connor, behind.
You just could have at least took your daughter with you, you piece of
He
shit.
didn't want nothing to do with anything. He was just looking for a reason.
Right.
Smith gained custody of Pearl and remained at the hotel, continuing her relationship with Holmes. Julia and Pearl both disappeared on Christmas Eve, 1891. Holmes initially claimed acquaintances that Julia had left unexpectedly to visit her dying sister, but then changed the story and said that she had fled her former husband.
Well, ultimately, Holmes later changed the story again and actually claimed that Julia died during an abortion. What? Despite his medical background, Holmes was unlikely to be experienced in carrying out abortions, and mortality from such a procedure was high at the time.
All right.
Yeah. Holmes then claimed to have poisoned Pearl, likely to hide the circumstances of her mother's death.
Oh, wow.
A partial skeleton, possibly of a child around Pearl's age, was found when excavated in Holmes' cellar. Pearl's father was a key witness at Holmes' trial in Chicago.
How could he be a witness?
Right.
What's he gonna be
What is he going to
about?
witness of? That they were having an affair?
Right. Moving on. 23-year-old Emmeline Sigrind began working in Holmes' building in May of 1892. Worked for him for about 6 months. Holmes reportedly hired Sigrind as a secretary due to her connection to a doctor who peddled a vaccine that allegedly cured alcoholism.
Oh, right.
Wow. Those who saw Sigrind in the weeks before her disappearance noted that she appeared to have lost interest in Holmes and their relationship. Sigrind was last seen in December 1892.
Well, her parents were informed that she had left to marry a man named Robert Phelps. Authorities
Informed by who?
Right, maybe him, I don't know. Authorities hypothesized that she had gotten pregnant by Holmes, possibly being a victim of another failed abortion that Holmes tried to cover up. Her empty luggage trunk was sent back to her mother in Anderson, Indiana. Her skeleton was found by police at the home of a Chicago physician with the help of M.G. Chappell, who admitted having articulated 3 skeletons for H.H. Holmes. Oh,
shit.
Oh.
All right.
So this guy didn't get charged with nothing? Can't just be working on people's skeletons.
Right. Early 1893, 24-year-old one-time actress named Wilhelmina Williams, they call her Minnie. Hey, Minnie. She moved to Chicago. Holmes claimed to have met her in an employment office, though it is believed that he had actually met her in Boston several years earlier, while he was then going by the alias Harry Gordon. Holmes offered her a job at his hotel as his personal stenographer, and she was like, okay.
Well, why does he need a stenographer? Like,
Right.
It's not a courtroom.
Right. Holmes persuaded Williams to transfer the deed to her property in Fort Worth, Texas, to a man named Alexander Bond, which was an alias of Holmes.
Bond. Alexander Bond.
Alexander Bond.
April 1893, Williams transferred the deed, with Holmes serving as the notary.
But why?
Holmes later signed the deed over to Pittizel, who we'll learn about coming up, giving him the alias Benton L.R.T. Lyman.
Right.
The following month, Holmes and Williams presented themselves as husband and wife, renting an apartment in Chicago's Lincoln Park.
Fantastic.
In the end, it didn't really matter.
Right.
Minnie's younger sister, 18-year-old Anna Nanny Williams, came to visit, and on July 5th, 1893, she wrote to her aunt that she planned to accompany Brother Harry to Europe.
Oh.
In it, she signed off with the message, Brother Harry says you need to never trouble any more about me, financially or otherwise. He and sister will see to me. I hope our hard days are over. Well, yours are.
Look at that.
Neither Minnie nor Nanny were ever seen alive again.
Oh, shit.
And Holmes would subsequently use Minnie's name in future scams. Oh, look at that. Well, there you go. You kind of know what happened to her then, huh?
Yeah, what makes him just, something's got to piss him off? Does it like have a short fuse or something? Or
Clearly doing it to get their, like, the deed and insurance scams, getting the money.
Let's take a suspected murders. 68-year-old creditor of Holmes named John DeBruhl. He died of epilepsy on April 17, 1891, in the Castle drugstore. DeBruhl collapsed and died shortly after Holmes poured a black liquid down his throat, according to a witness. Foul play was not suspected, though.
Excuse me? How does he witness pouring black liquid down somebody's throat that dies minutes after?
Right.
But no foul play.
Wow. In 1895, it was determined that DeBruhl's life had been insured.
Of course it was.
And guess what? Holmes, he had profited from his death. 1891, Emily Van Tassel disappeared after working in Holmes' drugstore. I mean, come on. This is just ridiculous.
Right. They all are at the drugstore.
Holmes spoke of her in his confession. Cool.
I think he said that he killed her, but
Right.
they can't ever prove it.
1897, Tassel's name was cited in a list of suspected victims, and Tassel's mother believed she was a possible victim.
Possible, yes. Well, a man named Dr. Rustler had an office in the castle and went missing in 1892. Holmes mentioned killing Rustler in his confession as well. Kitty Kelly, a stenographer for Holmes, also went missing in 1892.
Oh, shit.
John Davis of Greenville, Pennsylvania, went to visit the 1893 World's Fair and vanished. 1920, he was declared legally dead.
So we don't know.
Right. Harry Walker of Greensburg, Indiana, went missing in November 1893. He was alleged to have insured his life to Holmes for $20,000 and wrote to friends that he was working for Holmes in Chicago.
So there's no proof that he actually insured his life to Holmes, huh? Was there ever a claim out put on him?
I don't know, but
Probably not.
he wrote to his friends that he was working for Holmes, so...
Right. Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Why would these people put insurance? Why?
Idiots.
It just don't make no sense. You know you should have a life insurance policy.
Make sure I'm the beneficiary. I'll never let anything bad happen.
Right. I'll send it to your family if anything happens to you. Wow. Holmes and Pittizel, they took George Thomas out to a Mississippi swamp on the Tombigbee River in June of 1894, murdered him, and disposed of the body. Holmes confessed to the murder to his second wife. Milford Cole of Baltimore disappeared after receiving a telegram from Holmes to come to Chicago in July of 1894.
I mean, did he make it to Chicago? We don't know about that.
Yeah, so anything could have happened. An additional possible victim was Lucy Burbank. Her bank book was found with human hair in a chimney flue at the castle in 1895.
Oh, shit. Well, I would say it's more than likely then.
Allegedly, in his confession, Holmes claimed to have killed two persons in Lake County, Illinois, which was in the 1890s, which was confirmed years later when the remains of an unknown man and an unknown woman were found on a farm in 1919, 23 years after his execution.
So then that's confirmed then.
Right. Look at that shit.
All right.
Look at this guy.
Well, speaking of confirmed, let's move on to...
Yeah, Pittizel killed too? What? Pittizel killed too?
Yeah, man. They were working together because they were both scummy little scammers.
Scummy scammers.
Scummy scammers. Speaking of, the only legit killings he was found guilty for was the Pittizel killings. While working in the Chemical Bank building on Dearborn Street, Holmes met and became close friends with 38-year-old Benjamin Freelon Pittizel. He was a carpenter with a criminal past who was exhibiting in the same building a coal bin he had invented. Holmes used Pittizel as his right-hand man for several criminal schemes. A district attorney later described Pittizel as Holmes' tool, his creature. With insurance companies pressing to prosecute him for arson, Holmes left Chicago in July of 1894.
I bet he did.
He reappeared in Fort Worth, where he had inherited property from the Williams sisters at the intersection of modern-day Commerce Street and 2nd Street. Here, he once again attempted to build an incomplete structure without paying his suppliers and contractors.
Oh, jeez, this guy. Why don't he just pay his people?
All right.
Shit.
Because you don't have the money, clearly.
Wow. July 1894. Holmes was arrested and briefly jailed for the first time on the charge of selling mortgage goods. He did that in St. Louis, Missouri. He was promptly bailed out, but while in jail, he struck up a conversation with a convicted outlaw named Marion Hedgepeth, who was serving a 25-year sentence. Holmes had concocted a plan to swindle an insurance company out of $10,000. He don't even try. I guess $10,000 back then is pretty big.
A lot of money.
Out of $10,000 by taking out a policy on himself and then faking his own death. Holmes promised Hedgepeth a $500 commission in exchange for the name of a lawyer who could he trust. Holmes was directed to a young St. Louis attorney named Jephthah Howe.
Well, Howe thought Holmes' scheme was brilliant. Brilliant. And agreed to play a part. Nevertheless, Holmes' plan to fake his own death failed when the insurance company became suspicious and refused to pay. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Holmes did not press the claim. Instead, he concocted a similar plan with Pitazil. Pitazil agreed to fake his own death so that his wife could collect on a $10,000 life insurance policy. His wife.
Right.
Which he was to split with Holmes and Howe. Oh, jeez.
Jeez.
The scheme, which was to take place in Philadelphia, called for Pitazil to set himself up as an inventor under the name B.F. Perry and then be killed and disfigured in a lab explosion.
Oh.
I'm an inventor.
Right. Holy shit. Holmes was to find an appropriate cadaver to play the role of Pitazil. Instead, Holmes killed Pitazil on 4th September.
Yeah, I'll find an appropriate cadaver. Don't worry.
Killed him on the 4th of September in 1894 by knocking him unconscious with chloroform and then setting his body on fire with the use of benzene. Ooh. In his confession, Holmes implied that Pitazil was still alive after he used the chloroform on him before he set him on fire as well.
Of course, chloroform's not going to kill him.
Right, well, an overdose would suffocate you.
guess.
However, forensic evidence presented at Holmes' later trial showed chloroform had been administered after Pitazil's death, a fact of which the insurance company was unaware, presumably to stage a suicide to exonerate Holmes should he be charged with murder.
How would it be a suicide unless he's saying that he tried to make it look like... I don't know. Why? That doesn't even make any sense. Why would it be a suicide if chloroform was afterwards?
Right.
Unless he's saying that Pitazil meant to blow himself up in the lab.
And how would they even fucking know that? Anyway.
Right. Well, you can see if chloroform was inhaled in the lungs.
Yeah, now if the dude's burned to death.
I know. The lungs aren't going to be burnt.
Why wouldn't they?
Because bodies take forever to burn, like, totally.
Yeah, I guess you can see.
He was just disfigured.
I guess you can see if there was a chemical in his lungs.
Same way they tell people that die in house fires died from the flames or the smoke.
Right. That's true.
Holmes collected the insurance payout on the basis of the genuine Pitazil corpse. Holmes then went on to manipulate Pitazil's unsuspecting wife, Carrie Alice Canning, and allowing 3 of her 5 children to be placed in his custody. What an idiot.
How does this guy do it? He must have been one charming son of a bitch.
Right. And he doesn't even look... He's not even a good-looking guy.
Right. What the hell?
The 3 children who were placed under Holmes' care were 13-year-old Alice Pitazil, 9-year-old Nellie Pitazil, and 7-year-old Howard Robert Pitazil. Holmes and the 3 Pitazil children, the Holmes and the Pitazils.
All right.
They traveled throughout the northeastern United States and into Canada. For what?
Right. Wow. This guy. He simultaneously escorted Carrie along a parallel route, all the while using various aliases and lying to Carrie concerning her husband's death by claiming Pitazil was hiding in London. And he also lied to her about where the children were when he seen her. Where's the kids? Oh, they're...
Don't worry. They're fine.
While he was in Detroit, just before entering Canada, they were only separated by a few blocks. Oh, wow.
So he must be telling her, like, through telegrams or something, like, come here, and I'll meet you here. And then,
Holy shit. Only separated by a few blocks.
She probably didn't even know.
In an even more audacious move, Holmes was staying at another location with his current wife, who was unaware of this whole affair altogether.
Jeez.
Holy shit.
This dude has got some balls on him, doesn't he? Holy crap.
Wow.
Well, Holmes later confessed to murdering Alice and Nellie on October 25th, 1894, by forcing them into a large trunk and locking them inside.
Oh, jeez.
He drilled a hole in the lid of the trunk and put one end of a hose through the hole, attaching the other end to a gas line to asphyxiate the girls.
Oh, wow.
Holmes buried their nude bodies in the cellar of his rental house at 16 St. Vincent Street in Toronto.
Well, Holmes' murder spree finally ended when Boston police inspectors and the old Pinkertons, they apprehended Holmes in 1894 in Boston on a coroner's warrant for insurance fraud perpetrated in Philly. However, Boston officials did not find the warrant sufficient enough to hold Holmes, so they contacted Fort Worth, Texas. They're like, hey, I know you guys like this. We got a horse thief.
We got a horse thief. Hell yeah, bring that motherfucker down here.
Well, Holmes was like, I'll be extradited to Philly for the insurance fraud.
Right.
And he's like, I
will willingly go with these guys.
I do not want to go to Texas. They're like, why do you want to go to Texas? He's like, well, Texas is notorious for rendering harsh sentences for horse thieves.
Yeah, he's about to hang.
And the City of Philly Police Department sent Detective Thomas Crawford to Boston to bring Triple H to Philadelphia for trial.
Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Police Department assigned Detective Frank Geyer to gather up evidence for the fraud charges on relating to old Benjamin Pitzel. Initial investigation of this was concerned with the insurance fraud, but it soon became apparent that Holmes had killed Pitzel instead of the other way around, of him just dying accidentally. June 1895, Frank Geyer left Philadelphia to retrace Holmes' steps, which led him through the Midwest to Toronto, Canada, where he found the decomposed bodies of the two Pitzel girls in the cellar of the Toronto home. He wrote, "The deeper we dug, the more horrible the odor came. And when we reached a depth of 3 feet, we discovered what appeared to be the bone of the forearm of a human being." It was also in Toronto that Geyer discovered unsent letters written by the Pitzel children that Holmes had kept.
Oh, shit. Well, this info led to further investigations of Holmes' Chicago property, and ultimately led to Geyer to Indianapolis, where Holmes had rented a home in the Irvington neighborhood.
That's Holmes' home.
All right. Holmes was reported to have visited a local pharmacy to purchase the drugs which he had used to kill Howard Pitzel. That was on October 10th, 1894.
Right, damn, so they're going, this is a good-ass investigations. Detective work in 1894, dude, 1895.
And a repair shop to sharpen the knives he used to chop up the body before he burnt it. The boy's teeth and bones were discovered in the Holmes chimney, July 1895. Following the discovery of Alice and Nellie's bodies, Chicago police and reporters began investigating Holmes' building in Inglewood, now locally referred to as the Castle. And then they were like, let's make up a bunch of stuff.
Right. Well, though many sensational claims were made, no evidence was found which could have convicted Holmes in Chicago, as there was only very circumstantial physical evidence of the Castle victims,
right,
which was a piece of human bone, possibly from Julia Connor, remains of a child, possibly Pearl Connor, and a burned gold watch chain, and burned dress buttons apparently belonging to Minnie Williams, a tuft-to-human female hair found in a chimney flue as well. How is this not enough to, convict him?
I would think so, after all the other stuff they found throughout the country.
Well, I guess they didn't have enough evidence, because the only murders he would be tried for was the murder of Pitzel in Philadelphia, which had the clearest case for murder.
Right.
So he didn't even get tried for the girls.
Right, well, the rest
or the
of
kids.
Right, that really couldn't.
Jeez.
Wow. October 1895. Holmes was put up on trial for the murder of Benjamin Pitzel. Found guilty, sentenced to death. By then, it was evident that Holmes had also murdered the 3 missing Pitzel children. Following his conviction, Holmes confessed to 27 murders in Chicago, Indianapolis, and Toronto, and also 6 attempted murders. Holmes was paid $7,500 by the Hearst newspaper in exchange for his confession.
What did we say? It was equivalent to $202,000 or something
Right.
today?
Ridiculous. Is that Hearst guy?
Yeah, William H. Hearst, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Poor guy.
Right, it was his daughter. Remember, she
Right.
went to the Liberation Gang or whatever.
Yeah.
Got brainwashed.
Yeah.
Or one of his granddaughters or something. While writing his confessions in prison, Holmes mentioned how drastically his facial appearance had changed since his imprisonment. Okay. May 7th, 1896, he was hanged at Moyamensing Prison for the murder of Pitzel.
Wow.
Until the moment of his death, Holmes remained calm and amiable, showing very few signs of fear, anxiety, or depression. Despite this, he asked for his coffin to be contained in concrete and buried 10 feet deep, because he was concerned grave robbers would steal his body and use it for dissection. I don't want them to do what I've been doing to countless people over the years, pussy.
All right. If anything, they want your brain. See what makes people do this shit.
Right.
Well, when they did the hanging, guess what happened? Holmes' neck did not break.
Good.
He instead strangled to death slowly.
Good.
Twitching for over 15 minutes before being pronounced dead. Upon his execution, Holmes' body was interred in an unmarked grave at Holy Cross Cemetery, which was a Catholic cemetery in Philadelphia, western suburb of Yeadon.
I'm surprised they let him in there since they didn't let any of the mafia guys
It's true.
into a Catholic cemetery.
Wow. New Year's Eve, 1909, Hedgepeth, who had been pardoned for informing on Holmes, was shot and murdered by police officer Edward Zabarick during a holdup at a Chicago bar.
See, that's why you should have never let him out. He was a murderer. He's already served 25 years.
Jeez.
March 17, 1914, the Chicago Tribune reported that With the death of Patrick Quinlan, the former caretaker of the castle, the mysteries of Holmes Castle would remain unexplained.
Oh, wow.
You had 20 years to investigate it. Quinlan had committed suicide by taking strychnine.
Wow.
His body was found in his bedroom with a note that read, "I couldn't sleep."
Probably because there's probably some shit he's seen.
Highly toxic, colorless, bitter, crystalline alkaloid used as a pesticide.
Rat poison.
Yeah. Birds and rodents. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, my. That stuff will kill you quick.
Hell of a way to go.
Terrible, too. It was like painful.
Right. Quinlan's surviving relatives claimed he had been haunted for several months and was suffering from hallucinations.
Dude,
I bet he was. The castle itself was damaged by a fire in August 1895. 2 men were seen entering the back of the building between at 9 p.m.
Cool.
Around between 9 and 9:30, I think. Yeah.
Let them go. About half an hour later, they were seen exiting the building and rapidly running away. Following several explosions, the castle went up in flames. Afterwards, investigators found a half-empty gas can underneath the back steps.
When did he get hanged?
In May of 1896.
Oh, right. So he's still alive when his shit caught fire. So did he pay these guys?
He might have.
Like burn everything, burn the shit to the ground.
Burn it, burn, baby, burn. Afterwards, investigators found a half-empty gas can underneath the back steps.
Convenient.
The building survived the fire and remained in use until it was torn down in 1938. The site is currently occupied by the Inglewood branch of the United States Postal Service.
All right. Well, all the way up to 2017, during allegations Holmes had escaped execution. Holmes's body was exhumed for testing led by Janet Monge of the University of Pennsylvania Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. Due to his coffin being contained in concrete, his body was found to not have decomposed normally. His clothes were almost perfectly preserved, and his mustache was found to be intact. Nice. They take a picture of that shit?
Right.
The body was positively identified by his teeth as being that of Holmes. He was then reburied. Put that shit to rest, huh?
You ain't getting to there. We ain't even gonna have this conspiracy out here. Dig this son bitch up.
Attorney Jeff Mudgett, who was Holmes's great-great-grandson, claimed H.H. Holmes indeed was Jack the Ripper.
No shit.
He claimed to have personal diaries of Triple H, which suggested that he was in London when the Whitechapel murders, the series of crimes committed by Jack the Ripper, peaked. The diaries narrated that Holmes wasn't alone in London and had an associate with him. Holmes and Jack the Ripper, however, differed starkly in of course.
Right.
How they killed. While the latter was accused of murdering prostitutes around London with a knife in hand, H.H. Holmes allegedly planned his murders elaborately.
Oh.
His great-great-grandson claims that he has got a diary. Has he ever produced a diary?
You think he would have to, right?
Jack the Ripper killed his last one November 8, 1888, and supposedly H.H. Holmes killed his first one in 1891.
Right.
So that would have had time to travel back to the United States. We'll never know, will we?
Never know. So, Jack, Triple H Holmes, huh?
Old Triple H.
The case was notorious in its time and received wide publicity in the international press. Depraved, the shocking true story of America's first serial killer, which was written by Harold Scheckler in 1994, was the first major book on Holmes as characterized him as a serial killer. Wow. Over 100 years later, they finally considered him a serial killer. In his 1927 essay called Supernatural Horror in Literature, H.P. Lovecraft mentions the horrible gruesomeness of Webster as proof for discerning the stronghold of the demoniac on the public mind. 1974 novel, American Gothic, by horror writer Robert Bloch, was a fictionalized version of the story of H.H. Holmes.
His story has been chronicled in The Torture Doctor by David Frank in 1975, The Scarlet Mansion by Alan Eckert in 1985, as well as The Monster of 63rd Street. It was a chapter in The Gem of the Prairie and an informal history of the Chicago underworld by Herbert Asbury, published 1940, republished in 1986.
Oh, shit. No, Herbert Asbury.
All right. Interest in Holmes' crimes was revived in 2003 by Eric Larson's The Devil in the White City, Murder, Magic, and Madness at the Fair That Changed America.
Oh.
That was a best-selling nonfiction book that juxtaposed an account of the planning and staging of the World's Fair with a fictionalized version of Holmes' story.
Oh, shit. Fantastic. 2015, a film adaptation of The Devil in the White City, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and directed by Martin Scorsese, was to begin filming but never got off the ground. 2019, Scorsese and DiCaprio were to be executive producers in a television version to have been released by Paramount TV and also Hulu. But the effort is no longer progressing. A bunch of lazy sons of bitches these guys are.
Right.
2022 Supermassive Games released The Devil in Me, the 4th installment of the Dark Pictures anthology. This was all a video game series. Can you get it on Xbox?
Sure you can.
Or probably PC games. The plot is inspired by the lure of the Holmes story and is set in an in-universe replica of the murder castle.
Nice.
Holmes appears as a character voiced and motion captured by actor John Danglish.
All right, that's going to do it. That's the story, and we're sticking to it, I guess, this time. But, yeah, so I guess all in popular culture, I guess it is around the time as the Wild West, Wyatt Earp and all that stuff that
Wild West.
The journalists and writers were sensationalizing all the stuff to get people to read and make themselves more popular when clearly no evidence of anything being a murder castle. But not to say you didn't kill people there, but not like elaborate like they were trying to, what we've always believed it to be. But so there you go. That's a true story of H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, it wasn't like a Texas Chainsaw type deal.
Right. He's going to be our first in several. He won't be even, I mean, he might be the first widely recognized American serial killer, but he's certainly not the most brutal and certainly not the most famous.
No.
Which we got a whole lot. Actually, next episode coming up next month is going to be, we're not going to waste all the good ones right away, but
No, hell no.
well, like the big name ones, because there's actually probably better stories than the famous guys out there. But abortion doctor known
All right.
for illegal
All right.
late term abortions.
Read that not too long ago.
His name is Kermit Baron Gosnell,
Yeah, that
who
guy.
just got arrested in like 2009
I'm sure there's a movie.
and just convicted like 2013 or something like that.
I'm sure there's a movie.
He charged for a total of 32 felonies and 227 misdemeanors in connection with numerous deaths, illegal abortion procedures, and regulatory violations.
Yep.
He has said in a raid, authorities found the intact human remains of 47 victims stored in bags and cartons.
Yeah, dude, it was nuts. This dude was a psycho. Dude, there's a whole, there's gruesome pictures of shit. Oh, man.
You mean that?
That's ridiculous. Yeah, and even worse.
That's a grand jury exhibit of baby boy A, one of the 3 Gosnell was convicted of murdering, and that's a full term baby
You ain't
that he
kidding,
killed. So yeah, that's gonna be a pretty crazy, gruesome, not for the tender hearted story we got coming up next month on our serial killer profile. But in the meantime, our next episode is gonna be all about going back to the mafia. We're gonna cover Junior Gotti and Peter Gotti, who is John Gotti's son and John Gotti's brother. So still got some more Gambino craziness, and then we'll be starting our Hell's Angels series in between all this madness. We got a lot of got a lot of good stuff coming up your guys' way on Outlaws and Gunslingers. Don't forget to go
Get those leathers out, guys.
All right, go get those chaps. Make sure you got pants on underneath of them, though. Right.
You don't have to.
Right. But in the meantime, go make sure you're checking out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network.
I never realized that. They're like the modern day cowboys.
Kind of, right?
Instead of
Right,
horses.
that's Iron Horse, Steel Horse.
Steel horse I ride because I'm wanted.
Dead or alive. Answer that Spotify question. Give us a review on Apple and Spotify, and then join our Facebook group. The thing will be in the description, so check us out. We'll be back next week for some Gambino craziness, where the mother music is weird.
Bang dang.